So this is our second setup right now. I've moved along and I've now got the window and the blinds, and I have James. James is going to be playing a version of himself for our interview. And we've got 3 cameras going. We have 2 video cameras here and here, doing one shot of me and tight shot of James on a long lens. And we have a second camera on James, which is a tighter shot on a motion slider moving backwards and forwards over 30 seconds, which is going to give us a nice cutting shot. So, James, hello.
Hello.
We're going to do a few exercises here, and you're going to be deliberately a little bit flowery with your answers and go on a little bit too long initially. And also, you're not going to put my question into your answer. So, the first question I'm going to ask you is, tell me, I understand you want to be a TV presenter. Why?
I think I'm really good at presenting, and I've been really good since I was a young age because I did a lot of drama stuff back then and always used to present stuff. I think presenting's quite easy, and I like talking to people because people are easy to talk to, but then some people are a bit difficult, but I think it's okay. But other people don't like it. I've got one friend who really doesn't like talking to people, so he wouldn't be a good presenter. But I think I can be a good presenter because I'm really interesting to talk to. And then there are other stuff as well. Sort of like, I like to talk to people who are a bit different, so I think it'd be really good if I was a presenter in that way. I also like to talk to people who are kind of normalish, but that's not a thing, normalish, so we won't say that again.
Great answer. Perfect. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say to camera, but James can't hear me because I'm addressing. He's frozen in time whilst I address the camera. So what I need to do is to get him to focus down on a little bit of that and make him not use the word presenting too many times, because he said it about 30 times. So we need to just, but politely say it. Don't say to James, James, that was awful. That was so rubbish. We need to do that again, because that's going to come across really bad. He's going to get upset. Don't do that. So what you say, in the nicest possible way, is, great, James, that was good. So we kind of want to focus it on a little bit more. Let's start something a bit more simple. And tell me about who you like as a TV presenters and what you like about them. And on this one, we're going to get you to be a little bit more controlled with your answer, if possible. Okay. Tell me, who's it you like on TV who presents, and what do you like about them?
I really like Bruce Forsyth and the way he presents in Strictly Come Dancing, because it's really entertaining and funny, and I kind of want to emulate that and be as sort of a character and be able to capture the audience and make them feel interested in whatever he's saying. So I think that was my inspiration, sort of how I see the golden sort of view of presenting.
So that's quite interesting, because we had a fluff there. And what do you do when you have a fluff? I would suggest, if it's important like it was, because he mentioned the presenter, we redo it. That was brilliant, but you stumbled on that first bit. So if we just do it again, if you don't mind. So tell me, who is it you like who presents, and what do you like about them?
I really like Bruce Forsyth in Strictly Come Dancing, because I think he's really interesting. He's quite a character, and I'd like to sort of emulate the way he talks to people and sort of the way he draws them in, and he can entertain them as well. So I think he's sort of the golden standard I see as presenting.
Very good. That's a nice, concise answer, about 15 seconds. That's kind of like the perfect answer. So what we're going to try now is I want you to just be really difficult with me, and I'm going to try my best to just carry on being difficult, just for fun, just to show people how bad examples are. So just give me really short, brief answers, okay? And this is something you'll come across a lot, especially people who don't want to be interviewed. James does want to be interviewed, but just for us, he's going to be one of these people who doesn't want to be interviewed. So, you must love watching TV then?
Yeah, it's all right.
What are your favourite type of TV shows?
Anything.
Do you like watching sort of like cooking shows, or sort of like car shows, or?
Yeah.
Both of those?
No.
Anything else you like watching?
Yeah.
Tell me about those other things you like to watch.
Car shows, cooking. News is okay.
So I would say this interview isn't going very well. It's probably, I would say, James, you need to look at another profession. I'm not sure presenting's for you, based on this interview, but based on your previous answer, I'd say it's very good. So these are really good examples. Remember what the interview is there for. It's there to help you tell the story, to get information, to learn about things. So ask questions, and when you understand the story fully, then hopefully you've done your job. So remember, it's a conversation that you guide to get the answers that you need. So in this setup, we have Diane. Diane has joined us, and we have a very bland, generic background. Now, this isn't ideal because of the traffic, so we don't get any sense of the traffic going in there. On this occasion, I'm just going to live with it because I just wanted to show you a neutral background in a room like this, which is great because neutral backgrounds can be used for anything. And I also want to show you two camera setup, one that isn't moving. Now, the position of the camera, the tight and the wide, is actually quite important. I like to have the tight shot closer to the eye line, which is me, than the wide shot. This way, when Diane looks at me, it's just off camera. Whereas the tight shot was further away from me, these are switched around, and I had the wide shot here. The tight shot of the eye line looks too obtuse. So for me, this is the right way around. This is what it looks like if we switch it around. As you can see now, Diane's eye line is still the same looking at me, but we have the wide camera next to me, which makes the wide slightly nicer because it is close to my eye line, but the tight shot for me is a little bit too off. This comes down to how you like your shot. You may prefer this, and that's absolutely fine. There's no rules as to which one you should have closer. It's just, for me, I like to have the tighter lens closer to me. So Diane, we're going to do this interview in a traditional eye line right now, which is my camera is the same height as me and you. I'm just going to talk about a little bit about you, and I'm going to show what it looks like when you don't have a traditional eye line. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into acting.
Well, really, when I was a lot younger, when I was about 3, I was on the stage for the first time. I was dancing then. And when I got to about 7...
One thing you may, when you listen to that, you think there's lots of ums, and that's a very natural way of pausing when you're thinking of an answer that you haven't thought of already. So your brain is searching for these things to say. So when we do it again, you'll probably find it tends to be better because you've already touched on these things. So we're going to do that first question again, and I don't want to draw your attention to the ums because that's always going to make people self-conscious. And so we can take that question and just make it a little bit shorter. I guess it's when you first got that acting bug, I guess. So maybe that's the question we should have. When did you first get the acting bug?
I think I first got the acting bug when I was at school. When I was about 7, they were auditioning for the school play, Babes in the Wood, and I auditioned and got the lead part of Bobby. I think it started then.
So what we're going to do now is just change up the eye line. So it's a very natural way of talking, eye contact, and she knows when that I'm interested, and therefore she carries on talking. Now, if we have that barrier of looking at the lens, it's a lovely way of doing interviews, but it's quite unnatural. So let's just give it a try. So this time you're just going to be looking straight down the lens. Julian can just about see me, but you can't. But I can see you. So I'm just going to center the camera slightly here. And what's nice about this is it's like Diane is addressing the audience. So is there anybody else in your family who act?
I am the only actor in my family, although I have managed to get my brother into a short film that I'm doing next week with a friend.
What's a really good device, if you've got one, is an iDirect. And this is the iDirect when you mount it on the front of a camera. This way you can see an interviewee can see you on either side of the camera. It means you can maintain that eye contact. Because this is very unnatural, but it is a really nice way of interviewing because it is addressing the audience directly. But if you have an interviewee who's not experienced being on camera, there's nothing wrong with this eye line. It's a very natural conversational eye line. We're looking at each other now, and this is so much easier both for you and for me when we're doing a nice interview.
Typically, the Amish don't pose for pictures or for interviews or anything. One of the 10 Commandments, it says no graven images or likenesses or anything like that. That's where the reasoning stems off of. That is kind of getting lost. Some of the Amish people are starting to take their pictures. If you want an ID card, you have to get one with the picture on it. As far as posing just for interviews, something like that, we don't do that.
All of these topics that we've covered in this episode will help you get much better interviews. Your lighting, your sound, your background, and of course the actual content, the quality that you're going to get from your interviewee. Try and make sure you have a list of questions or topics that you want to cover in an interview. You don't need to have a proper question list, but I do recommend sort of having that if you are new to it. When I made this documentary about the Amish man, I did all the filming, did all the interviews, and I was really happy with it. And then right at the very end, just as I packed up, I realized I missed a really important question. And that was addressing the whole thing about not being seen on camera. So what I did was I set up the camera just to record some sound because the lights had completely changed, it had gone dark, just so I have the recording of the audio for him explaining that, which I covered at the beginning of the documentary with B-roll. If I'd written down a list of questions, then I would not have forgotten it. We all make mistakes and you've got to learn from your mistakes. Had I not had that in there, it would have been a huge problem, because for the entire time you were watching the documentary, you'd have said to yourself, why can't I see his face? It was such a key thing to address and something you had to do right at the beginning of the documentary.
You got your tie-dye hippies standing right along next to your Wrangler wearing starch jean, redneck snuff dipping, and it's awesome, dude. It's just like, it's a Willie show.